I know you have a pretty large car collection yourself. What are a couple of your favorite cars in there?
I don't have as big a collection as I had in the past. Got rid of a lot of the street cars and stuff because my passion's race cars. It really is. But my car, my favorite car in my collection's a car that I fell in love with when I was 15 and never thought in the world I could own it, but tracked it down. Took me 42 years to finally get possession of that car. But I love the movie American Graffiti, right? Love that movie. So the 1958 Chevy from the American Graffiti movie with Toad and Debbie and all that craziness. So I own that car, and we worked together to restore it. We did an Americana show on it, and it's sitting there in perfect condition. And we take it out once in a while and drive it. When we debuted that car, we debuted it in Vegas, dressed up as the characters, and we had a blast. But that car means a lot to me. And I've got some of my original race cars. I've got the car that I won my last feature with at Wall Stadium. I've got the car, unfortunately, that I got hurt in at Flemington. I've got that car. I've got my sprint car that I won my last sprint car race in.
I was in the grandstands. Now you got hurt.
Yeah.
So you got hurt, and you say you hit the fence. Was it something you hit?
Flemington turn 4. Yeah.
I was a little
got
kid.
jammed up on the inside, and I got in the back of somebody and got sideways. So I just cranked it right, and at the same time I got hit in the back, and it went halfway through the ambulance gate. And there was a big post there, and it hit right on my door on the ambulance gate, and then shot it back out into the racetrack. It was pretty
big
cool.
wreck.
Big hit.
Yeah,
So
it does. They say I don't remember it. You know,
Yeah,
everybody's
yeah, tell me it was a
everybody's
big
like,
one.
You remember that night you
No.
wrecked the Flemington? I was like, no, I really don't.
got some good sleep.
Saw the video, looked cool. You know?
But, like, we're guilty of being short track guys and being laser focused on short track stuff or NASCAR stuff. And we were talking about that earlier about like how our branches don't reach much further than that. But reading your book, you gave me a whole new appreciation for Pikes Peak and how dangerous it was. And you signed up to bring one of the cars you built, the Ghost.
It's only dangerous
there.
if you run off.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
You're safe if you stay on the road.
yeah.
Well, that's like the old Letarte saying, it could be dangerous or it could be slow, so you got to pick.
Yeah.
But like, what are those experiences like of going to Pikes Peak and doing other things like that have brought you to your passion for IndyCar now and road course racing?
To build a car, right, and to challenge myself to find out if I really could be as good as I thought I could be out of stage. So at 60 years old, we built that car, took it to Pikes Peak, went up there as rookies, and won our class, set a new record in our class. Came about 11 seconds away to breaking into the 9-minute, which very, very few people have been able to do for the amount of cars that they run up there. And it was truly, Pikes Peak is almost a spiritual event. There's only 2 unrestricted places on the planet, right? There's only 2 where you go run what you brung and you're betting your ass, right? You're
What's the other one?
Bonneville.
Yeah,
Bonneville
soft
and Pikes
flats.
Peak. Those are the 2. It's run what you brung. And if you're confident enough that you're a good driver, confident enough in the car you build, but if
Either
something goes wrong,
C at the top or C at the bottom, one
Yeah.
of the two.
so to me that was good. It was good, and I felt like I feel like I could have been okay, but still not as good as some of the people that I could never been as good as the top echelon at Cup or at IndyCar. It's pretty impressive watching some of that stuff. But Pikes Peak to me was it put myself up at peace. Like, you can build a pretty good car, and you're a pretty fair driver because you're not dead. You've got a trophy and you're not dead.
Talk to me a little bit. Right before we jumped on too, you were talking about, so you've been doing some work with, what do you call it, the officiating group?
Independent Officiating Board or Independent Officiating Incorporated. So IndyCar had some controversy with rules and whatnot. And
Last year, post-Indy.
People felt like the optic-wise, that was a little bit too close to the Penske organization,
Yep.
and which I'm going to tell you, there's nothing there. Purely optics. Everything that we've looked at, that's just not something Roger Penske does. But they separated that, and I work with Ronan Morgan from the FIA and Raj Nair, who's a really cool guy. Used to be at Ford, now he's at Singer Porsche. And the 3 of us really kind of oversee some of the officiating, make sure that there's nothing going
tomfoolery.
on. No tomfoolery. And which is different for me because it's...
You were trying to do the tomfoolery.
I actually found some. Yeah, I love the chief inspector there, Rocket, they call him, right? He really, really, really cool guy. And I said, how do we check that? And he's like, well, I said, hey, take a look at this, because the first thing I would do was this.
And there are teams doing that.
Yeah, and so a couple of those guys had to reduce some things. But it's neat. Really impressed with IndyCar organization, the way that they present the show, the way that safety, all about safety. And we were talking a little bit ago, some of these young kids, these drivers, man, they are on it. Like it's not like it's a 2 hour, basically a 2 hour race, 90, 100 laps, but those kids are on it. And do not take your wife to IndyCar driver weigh-in, because every one of those guys looks like a model. I mean, through their Nomex, the abs are sticking out, and I'm like, man, those guys are fit, every one of them.
So you've been surrounded your entire life by phenomenal racing talents. Just by your observation, work with Jeff Gordon, now you're around guys like Alex Palou and Joseph Newgarden, and these cats, they're at the top of the spear of what their particular craft is. What makes those guys elite versus, or what makes those guys elevate themselves against their competitors?
That's a good question, and people ask a lot, and they're waiting to say, well, they got better reflexes or they got that. Most of the really good race car drivers that are at that level are very smart. They think about things in a different dimension. Then Mr. Penske's got a word about, hey, they look out of a bigger windshield, but their feedback is at a different level, and they're committed. Sat next to Scott McLaughlin on the plane coming home last night, and he did nothing but work on his post-race report that looked like a legal document.
Really?
And you think, okay, these guys they're committed, but they're intelligent, and the racing is their thing, and their racing IQs are high,